Hello chess family, it's me National Master Jesse James and it's time for another installment of How to Play the London System. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the idea of whenever they take our knight on e5 and we respond with the correct move, knight f3 and not pawn to f4. Let's take a look. Here we go. We started with d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, bishop f4. Here comes the London system. Pawn to d5, pawn e3, c5. The best way to attack the center is with the c5 pawn. Pawn to c3. Let's build up our little pyramid scheme right here. We have a nice solid structure. Knight c6, knight b to d2. Bishop d6, and here we're just going to go ahead and retreat. Remember, taking on d6 is not a good idea, as after queen takes d6, well, this just gives them an equal position, but also you're going to be losing one of your best pieces here. We really want them to take back on g3 so we can get the open h file over here. And this also helps develop the queen here, so why help our opponents when we do not have to? So bishop g3 gets played. Here, black goes ahead and castles. And well, let's go ahead and get our bishop out to the best diagonal, bishop d3, attacking their weak h7 pawn. Here, black plays rook e8, and here is where the main line is coming in. Here, black is trying to play pawn e5 to open up his position, and if he can achieve this, he will get an equal game here. Notice you could just go ahead and castle, but after e5, well, equality's been made because the bishop's able to get out. And, well, this is their bad bishop in the game. So here, London player, doesn't take long. What do you play here? Here we go ahead and play knight to e5 here, stopping this pawn from being moved forward. Remember, if the pawn can't move, the bishop has a hard time getting to a good square. The bishop can't get to a good square, this rook will also be suffering. So here, knight to e5 gets played just in the nick of time. And here we take a look at a very bad idea for black, is if they go ahead and take on e5. Now here, white does hold an edge here, but you do have to play the correct move. Here we're going to take back with the d pawn, of course. We don't want to take with our bishop because why give up the bishop pair here? Same kind of position, but again, we lost our bishop. No need to do that. Here we go ahead and play the d takes on e5. The knight goes back to d7, and here is that critical moment. Do you defend the pawn with the pawn to f4, or do you play the knight to f3? Well, here as we looked in our last game, pawn f4 is actually a blunder here, as the e3 and b2 pawns become weak. Here black just goes ahead and plays pawn to c4, bishop c2, and queen to b6, forking and winning a pawn back. And here we learned the best strategy. If you end up making this mistake, well, that's okay. In the last game, white went ahead and played bishop f2, queen takes on b2, and rook c1 here. The idea was to go ahead and hold on to this pawn, because, well, if queen takes c3, bishop takes h7, check, and, well, you're going to look a little bit embarrassed here as black. But basically, the best idea you could do in this situation where you drop that pawn is just go for a kingside attack and let the queenside burn. You know, at this point, the queenside's already messed up, so let's just go ahead and go for full out, send it, and attack on the king. Well, here after knight d7, we're going to learn the correct move to play here is knight to f3. As weird as this look, because, well, you know, f4 looks like a very good, stable, and strong move because the pawn will stay there to defend the pawn. But as we saw, e3, b2 is just too weak for this to happen right away. So after this knight goes to f3 right here, well, here it's really hard for them to attack the pawn, at least at first. And here, well, black went ahead and continued with pawn to f5, another very bad move in this position. With that being said, what happens if black tries to go for it and attacks the e5 pawn right away? Believe it or not, this pawn is actually tactically defended, and well, the best move here for you to do is just to go ahead and castle. Can't they take the e5 pawn? They can if they want to lose. If you want to, go ahead and take a pause here and figure out why it is bad for knight takes on e5 here. It is now white to move and win. All right, hopefully you push pause. Hopefully you try to figure it out. Here we actually have just an easy combination here. Knight takes on e5, knight takes on e5. And here, hopefully you saw that there was a pin against this queen. Well, what's the idea here? We got to add pressure. Simple chess, you just play the idea of queen to h5. Here you're attacking the knight, and well, there's no good way to defend it. And hopefully you saw this in your calculation that pawn f6 doesn't work because, well, look at that. The rook is just undefended. Queen takes e8. It's not just dropping a rook, but also dropping checkmate in one here. Oof. So here, in any kind of way that the knight takes, on e5, whether it's the c knight or the d knight, you simply just take back, take, and then queen h5, and it's a pin, and it is a win. All right, let's go back to the game. So here, after knight to f3, black went ahead and played pawn to f5 here. And, well, I have another question for you. Should we go ahead and en passant here, or should we just go ahead and leave the pawn here in the center, maybe castle or some other move like bishop to f4? What do you think here? Well, here, believe it or not, there are some good moves here you can try. In the position, as far as computers suggesting, we should go ahead and en passant here, which is probably what I would be looking at doing here too. Because after the pawn takes, well, how do you take black back here as black? Here knight takes f6 looks good, but here you're going to see that the e5 square becomes weak, so we could just jump in there with knight to e5. And well, if you try kicking him out with knight to d7, here queen h5 gets played, and now you see that the h7 pawn is looking a bit weak. Here basically one of the reasons why we do the en passant is because the diagonal becomes weak over here. So this is definitely a good way to play here for white. With that being said, in this game, well, white went ahead and just kept the spatial advantage and played bishop to f4 here. Here we're going to see that they get a very aggressive idea. Well, black went ahead and played pawn c4. Again, not a very good move here. Bishop goes to c2. Knight c5. You see this quite a bit. Here the idea is maybe knight to d3, knight to e4 over here. And here, well, a very nice move here for white to start a kingside attack. And this is why they allowed this whole idea of not en passanting. Let's go ahead and send it. Pawn to g4 gets played. Here comes the kingside attack. Black went ahead and played knight to e4 here. Wait a second, is there something wrong with taking on g4? There definitely is. After f takes on g4, now you've opened up the diagonal for this bishop, and here there's plenty of good moves here for white. Here you have knight g5, and you'll be winning the pawn back very soon. Here you see that h7 is getting weak. You can also even just play the simple knight to d4 here, and again you see queen takes g4 is going to be good. One of the ideas here for white is that they're actually going to be casting queenside over here, and then sending up an attack with pushing these pawns. So this is a perfect idea here for white. So in the game after g4, black went ahead and just played knight to e4 here. Well, this knight is very strong. There's no need to take right away though. Here white just plays a nice logical setup. Rook to g1 right here. The rook looks very good, looking opposite of the opponent's king. Pawn to b5 got played. A very, very good logical move here for black. Here black is trying to push on the queen side and well, try to start the attack against this king. The king is actually very safe in here in the center, while their king, well, the files are being opened up right away. Here white has a pleasant advantage of +2. Here white went ahead and played knight to d4. Nice pressure on the knight and the pawn. Knight takes d4. Queen takes on d4. Here black played queen h4. A nice little move here, trying to put pressure. But here, well, simple chess. What do you do in this kind of position? Simple. Let's just go ahead and castle queenside. Remember, pawns that are being taken over here in front of black's king is only helpful for white. Again, white just gets a very clear advantage with +3 here. Black is more than welcome to go pawn grabbing as well. Remember, these rooks are going to slide over, and we're just going to be putting pressure along the F, G, and H files here. And with these black pieces, oof, they're looking terrible. Especially the slide square bishop. You can see how bad this is when all the pawns are the same color as it. All right, here we go. F takes on G4. Well, black was like, okay, we can hold on to this. And here, you could go ahead and take on e4 here, but this is probably exactly what black would like in this position. Here, yeah, computer is already giving this as almost equal position here because it's opposite colored bishops. And well, how are we going to attack here on g4? Here, a very nice move got played instead. Remember, attack the king, pawn to f3, open up this g file, and let's get it going. So f3 got played. Here g takes on f3 because, well, if you don't take, we're going to have to either move the knight or rook takes g4 gets played. And here the move gets played, a very nice combination, bishop to g5. What? Can't we just take? Well, you can take if you plan on losing your queen. And this was the idea of the combination. The bishop is actually heading over to the f6 square, and here the g7 pawn will be hanging very soon. Of course, black did not want to give away the queen, so queen to h5 got played. And here comes that bishop, bishop to f6. Oof. This attack is not going anywhere. And black goes ahead and plays knight takes f6, pawn takes f6, pawn to g6 here. Queen went to f4 for a nice little double threat. Here not only, well, I guess maybe it's a triple threat. Not only is the queen threatening to defend the rook with rook g5, but also pawn f7 check attacking the rook, and also queen takes on f3 ideas here too. Oof, black does not last long in this game. Here we go. Rook f8 got played. Rook g5 here, nice move attacking the queen. Here, queen to h3. A quick little puzzle for you. If queen h6 gets played, it's white to move and win. What do you play here? All right, hopefully you push pause. Hopefully you try to figure it out. Undefended queen here. Here you have the nice tactical stroke of rook takes on g6 here. Well, here the queen's unprotected. Can't we just take back? You're more than welcome to, but after bishop takes g6, you can definitely see that white has broken through over here. And although the position may be equal as far as material, the king is just too weak here, so white's going to be winning really fast in this position. That's why in the game queen h3 got played. And here, well, let's break through on this king side. Bishop takes on g6, pawn takes on g6, rook takes on g6 check, king to h7, a nice little tempo move here, rook g3, queen to h6, saying please can we trade queens here. Of course, white does not want to. Queen c7 check got played. king to h8, and now, well, I'll give you this final question here. White to move and force checkmate. What do you play here? All right, hopefully you push pause, hopefully you try to figure it out. Here the idea is very simple. I want to play the queen to g7 checkmate, but this queen is guarding me. So simple idea, get rid of the queen. With that being said, white played rook h3 and black resigned here. Of course, if you play queen takes h3, it's queen g7 for checkmate at 1. Well, if black really wants to suffer, he can try to go ahead and play something like rook takes on f6, but as I said, this is just forced checkmate. Here, rook g1 gets played for the simple idea of queen g7 checkmate, and it is impossible to stop this idea. Here, black is forced to play something like bishop d7, queen takes on d7, and well, yeah, I guess you don't have to take. I'm sorry about that. After bishop d7 here, you go ahead and play queen to e5. Oh my gosh, the computers are so mean here. And if the rook tries to guard on f8, rook takes h6 for a beautiful checkmate in 1. I will point out earlier too, for the other checkmate idea, if rook g1, if black tries to play something like rook to g7, well, here it's just going to be rook takes on h6 will be a forced checkmate, or even rook takes on g6 here. Again, the queen cannot take, and if the queen takes on h3, well, queen g7 checkmate again. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Remember, whenever you're playing against this line, the main line, whenever they play the knight to e5 here to block this from happening, if they do take on e5, pawn takes on e5, knight to d7. Remember, play the knight to f3 and not the pawn so you don't lose it. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this game. We'll see you in the next video.